boy named Zaid had been found in the previous episode of Monsieur Spade, and fortunately he was still alive. Somehow he had managed to escape from the church when the monk came, and he went and hid in Samir's house. He did that because he heard Samir talking to somebody in Arabic, probably because he also spoke the same language. There was a lot at stake, and Samuel Spade knew that. So let's find out if Spade was able to find out more about the monk, and if he was able to make any headway in the case. Jean-Pierre wanted to leave Bozouls, as he had realized that no matter what Marguerite said, in reality she didn't love him. Spade was relieved that she was trying to mend the bond and find a way to once again come close to her husband, but Jean-Pierre told him that he was wrong in thinking so. Jean-Pierre wanted the vineyard, and he believed that he would be able to prove his point in court. Pierre was ready to file a suit and challenge the will that Gabrielle had left. He told Spade that they could settle the issue out of court if the latter agreed to pay him compensation. In the past, Pierre had stolen from Gabrielle, and Spade considered it one of the reasons why she didn't leave anything for him. Pierre accepted that he had stolen from the lady, but he still knew that it was not the reason she didn't leave the vineyard for him. Pierre's mother was a cook in an asylum where Gabrielle was admitted after the death of her husband. Pierre knew that Gabrielle had written her will during that phase, and that was why he was very sure that he would be able to prove in court that she was of an unsound mind and didn't know what she was doing. Pierre said that though his marriage couldn't be saved, he still wanted to look out for his wife. He said that he wanted to make sure that Marguerite's future was safe and secured. Pierre wanted to go to Algeria and start a new life there. Pierre had been reckless in the past, and probably that's why Spade didn't trust his intentions. Spade told him that he wouldn't give him anything, but I believe that in the future he would give him the vineyard. Spade was not a greedy man, and after this conversation with Pierre, he probably saw that whatever he was saying made sense. Spade, together with Chief of Police Patrice Michaud, went to meet Monsignor Clement, Vicar General of the diocese. They met an American priest named Father Morgan, who had come to investigate the matter. The monk had been found, and the church wanted to conduct an internal trial on him, as apparently he was a man of God, and they felt that he shouldn't be tried by normal courts. Patrice was furious, as he wanted the madman to pay for his sins. Patrice had seen how brutally he had killed the nuns, and he was of the opinion that he deserved the maximum sentence. But the decision had been made, and the monk was being extradited to the Vatican. Patrice told Clement that he would not stop investigating the matter, and that he would make sure that the government stopped the extradition. But Spade and even Patrice knew that it was a lost cause because the French authorities wouldn't interfere in the affairs of the church. It became very clear in Monsieur Spade episode 3 that the church was worried about its reputation, and they wanted to suppress the matter. At the end of the negotiation, Father Morgan came out and told Spade that the monk's name was Friar Angelo and that he was part of a secret society called the Agnus Omnipotens. Spade and Patrice were shocked when they learned about it. They knew that there was more to the case than met the eye. They didn't know why that kid was so important, but they knew that religion had to play a key role in it. The monk wasn't chasing the kid due to some personal vendetta, and it had everything to do with the beliefs of the secret society. Probably in the upcoming episodes of Monsieur Spade, we will see Father Morgan and Samuel Spade joining forces and investigating the matter together. Father Morgan knew that he would need Spade's help in the future, which is why he came out and told him the name of the perpetrator. As we saw in the previous episode of Monsieur Spade, the kid named Zaid had been found by Samir, and he took him to his home. Samir's friends and family got worried as they knew that the police could come searching for him. Samir thought that it would be best if they spoke to the imam and asked him to keep the kid with him. Samir noticed that though the clothes that the kid was wearing were dirty, they were expensive. He knew that he came from a wealthy family and that a lot of people wanted to kill him. The kid was sacred, and the gun he had on him belonged to the French army. The imam came, and he told Samir that there was a probability that the kid was Modi, the chosen one. We had seen in the previous episode that the dying nun had also said the same thing, after which Spade had come to know that the case was not as simple as it seemed, and the stakes were very high. The French intelligence agencies also wanted the kid, and Teresa told Spade that her father, Philippe, was getting paid to take care of him, though she also didn't know who was paying him. The imam told Samir that probably the French authorities would have taken the kid because they wanted leverage. The imam said that the French intelligence agency STC was constantly tracking his movements, so he wouldn't be able to take the kid with him. The kid didn't speak, probably because he was too scared or traumatized, and Samir and the imam knew that a lot of things would get clear if he gave them some information. At the end, we saw that Samuel Spade asked his doctor to tell Saint Audrey that Teresa had been shot a couple of days ago. Spade knew that she would pass on the information to Philippe, and then he would contact him. Spade's plan worked, and Philippe did give him a call and told him that he had no role to play in the scheme of things. Philippe asked Samuel Spade to meet him at the cemetery, but when the latter reached there at the specified time, he wasn't able to find anybody. He came back to his home as he was under the impression that Philippe possibly wanted to deceive him and come home to meet Teresa. At that moment, somebody broke into the house, and before Spade could do anything, he was attacked by the trespasser. Episode ended on a cliffhanger where we heard a gunshot. We got to know that Henry, who pretended to be a painter, was probably working for their intelligence agencies, and he was there for a reason. He had bugged Spade's house, and he heard every conversation he had with the people there. It was a shocking revelation, as it meant that the French authorities were keeping track of what Spade was up to. In a flashback sequence, we saw how Gabriella killed her husband Jacques. Gabriella was supposed to leave for Argentina with him, but when he came to take her, she, together with others who probably belonged to the law enforcement authorities and intelligence agencies, shot Jacques. Gabriella asked him how he could betray everything he stood for at one point in his life. Jacques probably betrayed the trust of his people, and though it is not told what he did, I personally believe it had something to do with the far-right organization that was now after the kid Zaid. We saw that Henry came at just the right moment and knocked down the intruder. Spade was surprised that Henry was present so late at night. Henry told him that he was just keeping an eye on Teresa, as he had asked him to, but Spade was not so naive as to believe that. The soldier who broke into Spade's house worked in ecstasy, and he had come looking for Philippe. He was ordered to bring Teresa in case he didn't find Philippe there, as army intelligence wanted to know what happened to the kid. Spade got to know that Philippe was asked to take Zaid with him to Paris, but he went rogue. The far-right organization called Army Secrete also wanted the boy, and Philippe was given the job of hunting them down. Philippe had killed 30 men of the extremist organization, and since then, they have been on the lookout for him. Spade got to know that Henry was a sub-lieutenant after the dead body of one of the soldiers who broke into the house the night before was recovered from the pool. Someone had shot the man, and Henry told Patrice that he was not behind it. It could have been possible that George and Cynthia were behind it since, in the last episode, we got to know that they too were undercover agents and not art enthusiasts as they pretended to be. Spade knew that Henry was placed there because his seniors knew that someone would try to break into the house and take Teresa with them. He told him to not keep him in the dark the next time and not spy on him. Henry was about to leave when Teresa stopped him. She was attracted to him from the time she first saw him. Henry told Teresa that her father Philippe was hired by the army to kill the members of the Army Secrete. The organization was angry at President Charles de Gaulle for giving Algeria away, and they wanted it to be a part of France. In 1962, after a lot of struggle, Algeria declared itself an independent nation, and the president decided that it was in everybody's best interests. Now, a few soldiers from the army didn't like that decision, and they decided to form a separate organization so that they could join forces and carry out their agendas. It came as a bit of a shock to Teresa when she got to know that her father used to kill people. She shared an intimate moment with Henry and went to meet her grandmother. Teresa was well aware of her grandmother's intentions, and she knew that she had every right to be mad at her. We got to know that the man who was asking Marguerite to meet somebody was Chastien, and he was sent there by Jean-Pierre's father Denis. Marguerite finally gave in, and she went to meet the man. Denis and Margarita probably had an affair back in the day, and then Jean-Pierre came in between and married her. Denis was responsible for ruining Jean-Pierre's life, and now he regretted the fact that he didn't leave anything for his wife or his son. Jean-Pierre hadn't talked to him for years, though back in the day, when he was in prison, Marguerite had contacted Denis and asked him to help his son. Marguerite read the letters that Jean-Pierre used to send to Denis, as the man wanted to know what his son felt. Jean-Pierre got really mad at Marguerite for doing so, and he felt as if his privacy was being violated. Jean-Pierre revealed to Marguerite that he was not discharged because of his father, but because of another person with whom he made a deal. The look on Pierre's face told us that the individual he was referring to was not really a good person. Jean-Pierre in the end met Samia and got to know about Zaid. He made a phone call and a man came to take Zaid. Though his identity wasn't revealed, I believe he was either from a far-right organization or from army intelligence. Though Spade wanted to stay out of the mess, I don't believe he would get that privilege, and soon he would be dragged even deeper. In the upcoming episodes, we would get to know what happened to Zaid and if Spade was able to find Philippe.